Welcome to Bulletproof Veteran Podcast. Thank you for your service.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Bulletproof Veteran Podcast. Man, we're going to have a blast today because we have on the show Brandon Mills. He is a Marine. He is a songwriter. He has so much going on. This could be a long one, folks. So strap on in because he's got a lot. He's delving into psychedelics and the benefits that they have for the veteran community. And if you've listened to past episodes of the show, you know that's something that I'm very into. I love all the alternatives that we can get out to our veteran community because let's be honest, most doctors are very quick to just prescribe pharmaceuticals or just ignore some of our PTSD, some of our anxiety issues, insomnia, all that kind of stuff. And psychedelics are a great way to deal with that if it suits you. And we're going to talk all about that. We're going to talk about his music career. We're going to talk about television, all that kind of fun stuff. So Brandon, thank you so much for being on the show.
Honored to be here, Jason. Thanks for having me, brother.
Awesome, man. And as usual, the way we always start off the show is we love to hear a little bit about our guests, and you have quite a history. So let's hear about you. Where did you come from? Military, all that kind of fun stuff.
Sure. Yeah. Let's go. Let's see. I was born in Kentucky, and I now have a beautiful relationship with that state and that culture. And I didn't for a long time, mainly because I got made fun of for my accent and everything when I moved up north. But we'll get into that some other time.
Yeah.
Grew up in the suburbs of Chicago, and that's what I call home. I feel like that's the culture that raised me, which is a beautiful place to be raised. Joined the Marine Corps at 19, highly motivated by the attacks on 9/11. And wound up going into the Marine Corps. I said, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this all the way. I'm going to go hang out with the crazies. That the Marine Corps seemed to suit that desire for me.
Yeah, definitely.
And then I got into reconnaissance, went to school out at BRC in Coronado Island, went to Scout Sniper School, deployed to Afghanistan with a regular infantry unit, went to Afghanistan. Operation Red Wing was my first major operation.
Wow.
In the, in country, which was pretty wild. Then got back, tried out for recon, got through the selection, went to Scout Sniper School, and then operated in Fallujah in Iraq with a recon team. We were operating as 5-man teams there at that time. Saw, the joys and savagery of combat in that country. And then when I got out, started touring the world, really working for nonprofits. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. I knew I didn't want to continue to incite violence. I wanted to incite peace and love. And that's something that's always been on my mind, but I didn't know how to really manifest that or how to integrate that into my life. Let's see, that was for about 2-3 years, traveled for everywhere from Africa to Israel, to Europe, to Asia, trying to figure out where I fit in. And I kept coming back to wanting to be a musician. And I did a little bit of nonprofit work out in California, in Santa Cruz, but I wasn't fully satisfied. I got a job offer in Hawaii, working for the government, doing private contract work, training Marines and Army, how to operate in combat. So I took that because it was a super cush job, paid really well.
And it's Hawaii. Let's be honest.
And it's Hawaii.
It's hard to turn down Hawaii.
It's very, very hard to say no to one of the most beautiful places in the world. You know, making about 6 figures, living on the beach, working a pretty relaxed schedule. Although when we did work, we were working, but the workflow there is a little slower than your average mainland expectations, which is there's pros and cons to that. Mm-hmm. And so I was reading. I'm constantly reading. I'm constantly diving into knowledge and self-evolution. And I kept reading these books, and I wasn't fully satisfied, and I was trying to figure that out. And I believe in a creator. And I was talking to him or her, and I was like, what's going on? And they had showed me this scripture in the Bible that said, if your hope is deferred, your heart is sick. And I was like, well, what the hell does that mean? So I kind of dived a little bit deeper into that. And I felt like creator, infinite intelligence, whatever we want to call them, came to me and basically said, I've created you to be an artist, created you to be a musician, and you're doing everything but that. So if you want to live the fullness of the life that you are desiring, I want you to go pursue these arts. And that was a long conversation. It took me about 2 years to finally make that decision. Because again, cush job, living on the beach, surfing every day. I had the American dream on paper, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I felt like there was more there for me. So through a series of events and a series of these kind of like deep dives, internal dialogues with myself and infinite intelligence, I decided to move to New York, sell everything, and go to school for music, audio engineering and music production specifically. That was in New York about 6 years ago. Did that for 3 or 4 years, lived in Manhattan, which was, I call a boot camp for humanity. Pros and cons for that as well.
Yes, sir.
And yeah, I started my music career about 4 or 5 years ago, in my late 20s, which a lot of people, and myself included, thought that was a little bit insane, a little bit of a stretch, a little bit of a late to the party kind of decision. But
yeah,
that being said, it's been working out really well. And about 2 years ago, I moved down here to Nashville to further progress my songwriting, further progress my music career, and just kind of get out of Manhattan. I had learned what I needed to learn from that community and needed a break, needed some separation between the anxiety and the hustle and bustle of that location. But I'm here. I'm as happy as I've ever been in my entire life. Got into psychedelics about 6 years ago through a good friend of mine who's also a combat veteran, who's going through some really traumatic processes of war and his life and his upbringing, his background. We went down to Peru. We studied and sat with ayahuasca, which is, we can get into the specifics. I'm sure a lot of people know there's a big psychedelic renaissance is what they're calling it, which is beautiful. And that really catapulted me into continuing my music career, continuing my creative endeavors, but also really finding these psychedelics as such a powerful form of medicine to heal, but also to transform, to promote creativity. And really my whole life, I've been drawn to veterans, obviously being one myself, but I see the dysfunction again with the VA and the system. And I don't demonize any of this stuff. I just think there's some dysfunction that could be better handled with alternative therapies. And so, yeah, that's kind of me in a nutshell. I appreciate the question, and I hope I answered it correctly, but we can talk about any of those specific subjects as we move forward.
No, definitely. I appreciate the honest look at kind of where you came from. And, you know, you did start your music career later than most, but you've been playing, I think I was looking in your bio, you started playing the saxophone when you were like 4?
Yeah, fourth grade. Yeah.
Oh, 4th grade. Okay. Because I saw 4 and I thought it was 4. I was like, man, you didn't end up in like Juilliard or something like that.
Right.
But even 4th grade, the saxophone's a difficult instrument. That is not like, hey, I was banging on a drum and just had rhythm. This is a very technical instrument.
It was, you know, the craziest part looking back, and it's just the irony of life, like how easy it was for me to say yes and how easy it was for me to go into my basement for 2 hours a night as a 4th grader. I don't even know how old you are at that age, and just play. And I just loved it. There's something with the sound and the music and the ability to create. I got into jazz at an early age. I was playing in the high school band when I was in like 5th grade. I just had this, I would never call myself a prodigy, but I had this burning desire to pursue this. And it was always an easy decision. And one of my few regrets, when we moved up from Kentucky to Chicago, I stopped playing the saxophone. I put it down, and that's one of the few regrets I have. I still have a sax. I fiddle with it every now and then, but you know, now I'm a songwriter. It's hard to sing and play the saxophone at the same time. So
yeah, it's not like it kind of, sax is either a part of a band or it's a guy up on stage playing, you know, in a nice smoke lit kind of bar in Manhattan down in Soho or something.
Exactly. Like that. Yes, 100%.
But now, was the sax the first instrument that you picked up? Because for songwriters, a lot of times they go right to, you know, or even young kids, it's piano. Yeah, I know for me, it was piano. I started piano when I was, I think I was in 3rd grade when I started the piano.
Okay. Yeah. I think I played the recorder.
Okay.
I think that was probably the first instrument we played. And what a terrible, well, I don't want to diss the recorder. It has its function, but it's never like, I don't know anyone who's like, I love the recorder.
I'm going to make my life playing the recorder.
Yeah. I found my calling, Mom and Dad. It's playing the recorder. So, but it is a good intro into the music world and the music language. And so I did that, and I probably didn't enjoy it. And I don't know, for whatever reason, the saxophone, it was just always sexy. It had this like, this guttural
Mhm.
authenticity to it, which you know, a lot of people reference my voice to having the same thing, just this grit and this smokiness to it. I don't know if I'm using these words correctly, but it has a lot of soul. That's probably the best way to describe it.
Uh-huh.
And so the saxophone just seemed like what I needed to be doing, and
Yeah.
I really thrived in that instrument. And ironically, it's, you know, it built probably a lot of the foundation of how I sing and how I play, because it requires the full body to be aligned and to really express to the nth degree, to the highest form. Everything needs to be aligned internally, so when the external sound comes out, it has the authenticity and the support behind it.
Hmm. And, you know, for anybody out there like my age, a little bit older, your Generation X, the saxophone played a major role in every single movie that we grew up with. You
I
know,
never thought about that.
it does. Think about it. There is a sax solo in every one of those movies. St. Elmo's Fire, you got the guy up
Yes.
on stage playing the sax. It's guaranteed.
Yes.
So
Ah,
it's a sexy instrument. Like you said, it's got soul. It's part of a kind of a culture. So it's kind of cool that you started there and then, you know, went on into being a Marine, because the
yeah.
saxophone definitely should lead directly into being a Marine. There's nothing that got missed there at all.
No, it's a perfect transition.
It's a perfect transition. What could possibly go wrong? No,
I love
it's
it.
very cool, man. And your story is very similar to so many others that I've talked to, with, you know, 9/11 being such a defining moment for so many of us.
Mm,
Now, I joined up in 2000, so I was a little bit before 9/11, but I was there when so many other people joined right after. There was just this influx of people that said, listen, my country needs me. I'm signing up. And whether it was going Marines, Army, Navy, Air Force, whatever you wanted to go and serve, there was this
yes.
overwhelming drive to go do that. Um, I don't think a lot of people knew what was going to be the next 15 to now almost 20 years.
Yes.
Um, I think a lot of people thought that they were going to go and it was going to be this campaign, kind of like a, you know, Desert Storm-esque type thing, where it was, hey, we're
Right.
in and out in a year, we're gone. Well, fast forward 20 years and we're still kind of doing this. You know, it might be
Wild, right?
toned down a bit, but, you know, there's plenty of Marines that are still in some places that they don't necessarily want to be doing things that they
Sure.
don't necessarily want to be doing.
Sure.
And Fallujah being one of the big ones. I mean, when you talked about that, that is kind of one of the iconic battles of all of Operation Iraqi Freedom. And so many people talk about the hardship that they faced after leaving
Hmm.
Fallujah. Another Recon Marine that I spoke to, you know, Rudy Reyes, that was
Nice.
the tough one for him. You know, he talked about it
Sure.
on the show, and it was a lot for him to deal with afterwards.
Yes.
How, I don't mean to be so forward, but how
No,
did you
no
do
worries.
with dealing with the aftermath of something so brutal as that battle?
Yeah. So just to give a little more context, I wasn't actually in the Battle of Fallujah. We were
Okay.
there a few years later.
Okay.
It was still hot and heavy, but not to the degree that I think some of these guys went through. And big shout out to Rudy. I love that guy so much. He's a good
Yeah.
friend of mine. Um, but there, you know, there's PTSD and trauma through all of that. You know, I'm kind of fortunate enough. I had this connection with infinite intelligence, divine, you know, creator. I called him God. I tend to stray away from that word now, because it comes with so many negative implications with a lot of us, myself included, these
Mm-hmm.
people representing God from this broken place. And there are a lot of religious aspects to it, but I always had this relationship with the divine, the creator. So I was able to process a lot of this through, at the time, my relationship with Jesus and the Holy Spirit. And I don't necessarily gravitate towards that lineage or that perspective much as much anymore, but it was still a profound way for me to kind of figure this out and to find forgiveness and grace. I do honor the church for those qualities that they teach at a
Mm-hmm.
young age. You know, forgive your brother, love your enemy, take care of your neighbor. That stuff really helped me process some of that stuff, but still wasn't the fullness. There was still a lot of trauma. It's laughable now. I think I was probably 25 or 26, and I left the Marine Corps at 22, where I first started to even recognize that I had PTSD.
Okay.
I think a lot of us are really hell bent on, showing a strong front, not showing any vulnerability, not showing any weakness, and the culture in the military kind of tells you, hey man, you're allowed to go get help, but if you do, that's a sign of weakness, So I don't agree with that, and I think that we've come a long way since I've gotten out. People like Rudy have gotten out, where we're totally okay with talking about this, and I'm super fortunate enough to be in a group of really intelligent, hardcore operators that are now willing to talk about this stuff, and I just want to be a liaison to anyone who doesn't think that they can talk about it and wants to. Because it is so important, and vulnerability is strength, and so being able to talk about it to other people, finding friends in the community that have gone through the same shit that we've gone through, but are willing to do the hard work to get through it, and not necessarily suppressing it with alcohol, drugs, and sex, which I've done all three of those. Finding alternative medicines, getting into things like yoga, meditation, breath work, that stuff has all been a huge powerful. All these have all been really powerful tools to help me heal. So it's just been a combination. And I guess really at the end of the day, it's like constantly seeking, how can I get better? How can I heal? Where are my dysfunctions in my life? And how can I solve this? Go reading wise people that are excellent at a certain subject that I want to be good at, and consuming that, does that all make sense?
No, it definitely does. And it kind of plays exactly into your latest single. I've watched the video quite a few times now, because I've kind of just wanted to jump into a little of the nuances of it. But everything you just said, I think really is very upfront in that music video. And for anybody who hasn't seen the music video, we're going to attach it so that you can watch it during this episode. It's kind of that whole idea of helping your brother, coming from a strong place, but a place of healing as well, looking at different ways to help yourself rise out of turmoil,
Yes.
whether it is psychedelics, whether it is breathing, meditation, all these other things. But I love the title of it, the Don't Mistake. So, the chorus is that don't mistake my kindness for weakness. And, you say it over and over in the song. And it's so true, because I think kindness does get mistaken a lot of times for weakness. I want to help everybody, but you can just walk all over me then. No,
right.
No, that's not the case. Okay. I'm going to help you, but you have to want to help yourself. You have to be there for yourself. And then I will kind of lift you up, and we can do this together. And we can help the next guy and the next guy, or whatever the case may be. So, shout out, because I really do love the song. I listened to it with my wife when you first sent it to me. It's a little different than your other stuff too.
Yes.
You go to was it Glistening is the other song that's on the YouTube page. Much more love songy, much more folk that.
Yes.
And whereas Don't Mistake has a much more it's got much more R&B root to it. Definitely a little bit of almost kind of a Jamaican vibe to some of the parts of it. Very cool.
There's some reggae. Yeah, thank you so much, man. Yeah, it's crazy. I wrote that actually as an anthem to myself, because when I was transitioning from this military industrial complex to a place of I want to be a singer-songwriter, and I want to sing love songs with a guitar. Like going from being a scout sniper, to a songwriter was quite a difficult transition just for myself, and the identity that I had wrapped so much of my life around, being this alpha male, being this operator, and then be like, dude, I want to go get love and courage in a completely different way. And so it was almost an anthem to myself, and it was and then it became an anthem for a lot of my friends who wanted to, pursue kindness, pursue vulnerability, pursue forgiveness. And then it became this anthem for everyone. A lot of people that have heard the song have let me know how much it resonated with them. Even if, older women who have gone through divorces, who were like, you took my kindness for a weakness, and you took it for granted, and now I had to move on, and it gave them some empowerment to know that they made the right decision. It was really just about vulnerability is strength. And I think it's one of the highest forms of strength. And I think in a society that doesn't necessarily celebrate that, I think there needs to be people like you and I that are willing to have that conversation and willing to say there's a lot of power in letting each other know what we need to work on and how we want to better ourselves. And we do that through community, and we do that through intentionality, and we do that through integrating all of this in a practical way that doesn't have to be, a hardened killer kind of egotistical face mask that we wear a lot. So
yeah, I think that the psychedelic aspect of it also plays into that vulnerability, because when you talk to somebody that has used, psychedelics for trauma, say, they all talk about it eases you into this ability to be vulnerable and to talk about things that you might not, that you normally would put up a shield, especially when we talk about, use of MDMA, for instance, psychotherapy with MDMA. One of the main things that they try to focus on is the ability to discuss things that you normally would block out and not allow yourself to feel. So you have that vulnerability, and through that vulnerability comes this strength to actually heal yourself, which is just truly amazing.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, it's psychedelics are such a beautiful introspection about that. It's okay. It's okay to talk about it. It's okay to be yourself. It's okay to take down these walls and these masks that we wear, especially as men, in relationship to our emotional intelligence and just our emotional vulnerability. And then it's also a beautiful ego death. There's a lot of things that things get really rewired when you go through a really nice psilocybin or ayahuasca journey, that you're like, man, I was taking myself way too seriously, and I was trying to survive instead of trying to give and to just love. And I revisit psychedelics, a few times a year, especially the deeper stuff like ayahuasca. I try to do that every 3 or 4 months because there's a lot to learn, and it's an infinite potential of human experience, but also because it's a beautiful way to keep that ego down in the dirt where it belongs. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Now, an ayahuasca experience. So I have never partaken. I've heard a lot about it. I've read about it. I've listened to many interviews about people who have done it. But for the listeners out there that maybe don't know anything about it and maybe only know the more comedic aspect of you're going to be throwing up your guts after you take it, or whatever. We've all heard those stories about after you take ayahuasca, your stomach's probably going to be a little jacked up, and you're going to go through some stuff. But how does that process work? So if somebody was out there and what would they expect from kind of start to finish? How does it kind of roll?
Yeah, great question. Well, that's such a huge question, but I will do the best I can to answer that. So the first thing I think is you need to set your intention. You need to do your research. You need to make sure that this is something you absolutely want to do, because it is a journey and it is a battle. Not to say that battles are all negative. These are the best battles I've ever gone through in my life, that I continue to go to the front lines of this human evolution and consciousness. So set your intention, make sure this is something you want to do your research, find the right shaman. And if anyone wants to get with me, I can recommend some people, or I can at least recommend a checklist of things to ask your shaman before you sit with them. Because unfortunately, just like any place in the world, any industry in the world, there's a lot of people doing a lot of good. And there are people who are doing some shady stuff. We could talk, I won't get into dark magic, but there are a lot of beliefs that there are people that are, putting spells on people, and that's a whole nother conversation. But just do your homework. Make sure that the person that you're with is someone that you trust. The best way, the easiest answer to that is find someone that has sat with that person that you want to go sit with. So it's 1 degree of separation. Make sure you trust that person. I can also, again, give you a checklist on things to look out for. Secondly, it's kind of, you got to do the prep work. Intention is everything. Nobody goes into this stuff haphazardly, like, whatever, I'm just trying to get high, there might be people that do that. I've never met them, because there's not really room for that. It's a very serious experience, and it's a really beautiful experience, but the more you can prepare for it, the better. So that comes with, what do you want to get out of it? What are you trying to learn? What are the things that you're dealing with? What are the negative aspects of your life that you want to start to uproot and get to the bottom of why this is happening? And then You'll go on a diet. So they recommend at least a week out. Every dieta is a little different, but you can expect to cut out red meat, caffeine, alcohol, fermented foods, salt, sugar for about a week. I think a lot of that has to do with the way that the medicine reacts to your body, but it also has to do with, I think it's like, again, cleansing your mind, body, and soul to get ready for this. And I've gone through into some ayahuasca ceremonies, not a little less prepared than I should have been, and I paid for it for the first night. The medicine has to clean you out in order to really, really give you the magic that it's capable of. And so it's all about being the proper vessel for that, which is cool. It's like the discipline that you have in the military. Like, to be the best warfighter, you have to be in shape. You have to be taking care of your body. You have to be getting good rest. You have to be working out. So I see a lot of parallels between these two, and I love that for veterans, because I think it's a lot easier for me, at least, to go into this with the mindset of like, I'm kind of going into a spiritual battle, and I'm ready for it. If the better I'm prepared, the more I can get out of it, the more victories I can have. And then traditionally, the way that I've done it. So when I was down in Peru, the first time I did it, I sat for 7 nights, which is a pretty intense amount. A lot of people are doing it. A lot of retreat centers are doing it either 7 days, where you'll sit 3 or 4 nights, so every other, or it's very common to do a 3-night ceremony on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And so you're going and sitting with the medicine every night, right around sunset. You'll take the medicine. Again, you'll set your intention. And again, you find the right shaman. It's going to be a beautiful experience. Everything is done with so much intentionality. And you'll get a group of maybe 15 to 20 people. You guys will all meet in what's called a maloca, which is a place where we all share the space. You're going to go and you're going to set your intentions. You're going to go up individually. You're going to take the medicine, and then you're going to sit back and, wait for the magic to happen. Some nights are absolutely heavenly. Some nights can be a little hellacious, but there's never been a night that I've regretted doing it. There's been nights that have been a lot harder than others. But you're sharing the space with usually not necessarily like 15 of your best friends. There's usually some strangers and some people from around the world there. Like, I was just in Costa Rica, and there were people from Minnesota, people from Costa Rica, people from Honduras, people from Canada, but they're all there with the intentionality of to change and to heal and to grow. And it's a really powerful energy that's there, because everybody's there to do the work, and it's not always fun and easy. So you got to have some courage to get there. You'll do that the first night, the second night, third night. You'll share stories. There's always a shaman there, and he or she is always singing icaros. Icaros are these sacred songs that have been passed down for thousands of years. It kind of helps you be tethered to the space, because sometimes you'll be out in the ethers, in the cosmos, and the songs are the only thing that's kind of keeping you grounded to your body or to that space. And you'll kind of let the medicine do its work. It's pretty powerful. I've never had the same experience twice. I've never had anything really remotely similar, which is really beautiful. So as long as you're willing to show up and be present and be fully committed, the medicine will show up and do the same thing for you. And then I guess the best way to describe it is, at the end of a plant ceremony, I've never felt like my body's been on a higher frequency. I feel like every cell in my body is vibrating at its highest frequency. It gets out a lot of the junk, a lot of the clutter. It gives you a lot of focus, a lot of direction, and it's a beautiful experience. I couldn't recommend it higher.
So, one of the things that I think we need to do as a group of individuals that want to promote alternative ways of dealing with things, especially PTSD, especially veterans issues, anxiety, insomnia, all this stuff, is we have to dispel the myths that this is a bunch of guys in a frat party dropping acid. And the way you described it is exactly how I've heard other people talk about it. But when you talk to people with a preconceived notion of psychedelics and therapy and all of this, they think that this is just another way for somebody to get high.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, this is not about that. And that's why it's so important. One of the things I cued in on when you were talking right away was doing your research, making sure that it's a reputable shaman, making sure that it's a safe place for you to get the most out of it. And that this isn't adding to the already stigma of psychedelics in, the mainstream. because this isn't going to a rave and dropping
Right.
ecstasy.
Right.
MDMA assisted psychotherapy is a real study with definitive medical track that you're going to go down. Ayahuasca is a ancient medication that's been used. I mean, it's probably at least 5,000 years.
Yeah. There's discrepancy on when, but psychedelics have been in these native cultures. I mean, even India, even Africa for tens of thousands of years. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. They talk about, at least in South America and Peru, it's every part of their history. So nothing new. Americans aren't groundbreaking on this. We're late to the party at best.
100%. Yes.
But there's so much that the veteran community can get out of this if this is something for you. I say this all the time. I don't want to push anybody towards
absolutely
any type of therapy.
Right.
But I just want people to know that there's other things out there besides walking into the VA and walking out with a bottle of pills, whether it's Xanax,
yes.
whether it's this, that,
Yes.
You talked about breathing exercises, yoga. All of these things go into that whole body way of dealing with the things that we have left over from our time in the service.
100%.
Now, you said that you try to at least multiple times a year for ayahuasca.
This is what I feel called to. Some people will do ayahuasca 1 week and they're transformed for the rest of their life and they're good. For me, and maybe in the next 5 years, I kind of feel called to maybe facilitate serving medicine. That we'll see but I do feel a calling for that. So the best way to do that, and I've talked to a lot of shamans about pursuing this, they're like, you need to sit in the medicine, you need to really learn this. You need to do multiple plant medicines. You need to do plant diets.
Okay.
So this is going to be a lifelong pursuit for me. And I guess this is why I'm so adamant about it, for helping veterans if they want that. And I love what you said. Thank you for saying that. Like, you have to want this. This is not a get out of jail free card. This is a journey. This is an experience. This is a sacred place. I don't think there is any magic pill. Ayahuasca transformed my life in a matter of a few days, and it has for a lot of people. But it has to be a desire within you to seek this stuff, and it has to be taken seriously, for sure.
Yeah, it just like any medicine has to be taken seriously. You wouldn't condone somebody going out and taking too much of their heart medication. I'm on multiple heart medications. I would never dream of going into that cabinet and taking 6 of my Brilinta just because, hey, I feel like it today.
Right.
Any of these things have to be treated like medicine. I hear people with yoga talking about proper ways to use inversions or headstands or not. The debate on whether or not to do the benefits of headstands or no headstands in yoga goes real deep if you go into some of the message boards with neck issues, things like that.
Sure.
All of these are just tools, and they have to be used properly, or they're abused just like any of these things. And then it becomes something just like the opioid crisis, just like alcohol is self-medication with that. Medical marijuana is a perfect example of it. I am a huge proponent for the legalization of marijuana. Anybody that talks to me, I will speak on it until I'm blue in the face that I think it's ridiculous that it is something that is illegal. I love the fact that more and more states are starting to wake up and tell the federal government, we're not listening to you anymore. We're going to do our thing. New York being the latest. We just did it about a week ago.
Congrats.
Yeah, super. I work for the federal government, so I can't partake, but my wife has an autoimmune disease. My mother has glaucoma. My father has cancer. I want them to be able to use anything and everything to make themselves feel better.
Absolutely.
But all of these things can be abused, and misused. And it's up to us to be the proponents and the people, the advocates that talk about proper use, safe use. So whether it's ayahuasca or medical marijuana, proper and safe, and please do your research. Listen to what
do your research. Yes, 100%. And I think my whole life changed. And this was partly with the medicine, but my whole life changed completely when I started doing everything with intentionality.
Okay.
To the point where I will consume water and say thank you for this water. So gratitude, saying gratitude before my meal. They've done scientific research where you actually absorb more than nutrients when you express gratitude before you consume the meal. Saying thank you for the movement that I can go get my ass whooped on a yoga mat in a hot yoga studio, but saying thank you for my body, and all this stuff makes a difference. And the integration and the intentionality that you move forward with anything in any aspect of your life will always present you with a better outlook on life. It'll present you with a better appreciation for life. And that's something that the medicine culture helped me really activate in my life. And now it's something I do with everything. And to your point, exactly, do it the right way, and do it with gratitude, do it with appreciation, and everything in your life is going to be a better experience, if that makes sense.
Well, that intention is so important. I think we take things for granted. It's so easy to. We were just laughing real quick about Amazon. I can get whatever I want at my door in 2 days. I don't say thank you when that stuff comes. That is amazing. That is an amazing world where if I need Skittles tomorrow and I don't feel like going to the store, I can press a button and instantly it's at my door.
Absolutely.
It's amazing. Matt Best, I don't know if you're familiar, YouTube guy, Black Rifle Coffee. He did a joke on one of the podcasts I was listening to a while ago where he was talking about when he hunts, he does the straight up avatar over his harvest, where from the movie Avatar, where they thank and you're going to go into me, I absorb your power, all that kind of stuff. He was joking in a way, but that's the way you should live, with the intent of thank you. You just gave your life for me to have sustenance, and now I can feed myself and my family because of your sacrifice.
Absolutely.
It's really easy to call it like hippy dippy and all that kind of stuff, but it's so true. It's so true.
It's so true. And for everyone who's like, whatever, hippies, like, just go try it. Give it a week. Give it a week of saying thanks. I something that changed my life. I was going through a deep depression in New York, and I was abusing alcohol and drugs, and I kept reading this whole thing about gratitude. I was like, whatever, dude, this is stupid gratitude. I was like, well, but if enough intelligent people are saying it, I'm not big enough jackass to ignore a bunch of really intelligent people saying the same thing. So I would wake up in the morning and just be like, well, I guess thanks that I woke up. Thanks I woke up in a bed. Thanks I woke up in an apartment with a roof. And then eventually, you put those lenses on in the morning, and then within a matter of a week, I was saying thank you for everything, and my whole life shifted. Like, thank you, exactly what you said. Thank you for the miracle that is Amazon. Thank you for the miracle that how many people touch that that box of soap that you have at your doorstep before it got to your doorstep, from the inception of it, to the people that packaged it, to the people that shipped it to you, to the driver that brought it to your house. Like, that's a freaking miracle. And if you can say thank you for that, you start to see life in a much broader, more grandiose perspective. And I think it's a beautiful way to live.
Yeah. And it's a positive way to live.
Absolutely. And we need more of that.
We do, because it's so easy to be negative. It's everywhere in our lives. And you wonder why, when veterans come home and they're dealing with certain issues, it's so easy to fall into alcohol and things like that, because everything around us is negative. We're negative when we're sitting at the bar telling our sob stories to each other, or complaining about our jobs or whatever. It's almost comforting to be negative. It's easy. It's hard to be positive. It's real easy to be negative.
That's so true. That's so true. Absolutely. Yeah. You got to fight for it. I fight for it every day, and I lead with it. And, I call people out with love. Like, if they're being negative, I've been on dates, or I've been out hanging out with friends who I adore. They're just freaking complaining. And I just stop them in the middle of their complaint. After like the second or third sentence, I was like, okay, but what are you grateful for? Like, so I've learned how to be proactive about, like, I'm going to change my environment by reminding people how lucky we are to be alive. And I tell people all the time who are going through these victimization sob stories, I'm like, dude, you're still breathing. You're still alive. You're a miracle. There's plenty of people that would love to be in your shoes. And so maybe look at it from that perspective. And I'm not dissing anybody that's complaining, because I've done plenty of it. And I'm not sitting here on a soapbox, but I'm saying there are ways to change your entire life, and gratitude and appreciation is one of them. And then to lead from the front, and lead lead people when they're going through those sob stories to just kind of check in with them and be like, hey man, well, what's going right in your life? Let's focus on that.
Yeah.
And it's cool to see people respond that way, you know?
Yeah. I've had to do it myself. I went through some hard issues. My wife actually said something to me. I think it was yesterday. We were sitting on the couch and we were talking, and she was like, do you wake up in the morning worried that you're going to have a heart attack? She's like, because I worry for you. And I said, to be honest with you, I mean, I am worried. I'm always going to be worried that that's going to happen. I don't want that to happen, but I try to wake up and say, I didn't have a heart attack. I'm having a good day. I'm already having a better day than my past day. You know what I mean? Because it's awesome. I woke up this morning and I didn't have chest pain. We're rocking. We're already going to have an awesome day.
I love that, bro. I love that. Yeah.
You have to, because it would be so easy for me to wake up every single morning and be like, I shouldn't go for a run today because today could be the day that the run might take me out.
Mm-hmm.
It would be easy to do that. But then what's the point of living? You might as well just have the heart attack. You know what I mean? Because you're not living life then. So, I appreciate that you're kind of being an advocate, not only for the psychedelics, not only for the music and healing through that and all that, but just a positive outlook that I think so many of us could use and so many of us fall back from too easily.
Yeah. There's a lot of subconscious conditioning, and I think there's a lot of subconscious conditioning in the military, at least from my perspective, and probably a lot of people I talk to about the negativity aspect of it and the complaining. I'm reading a lot of Dr. Joe Dispenza's work. He talks about how to change. I just finished a book called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, and he talks about how when you're 35, about 90% of your subconscious thought patterns have already been established. And he teaches you how to go back into the subconscious through meditation and to rewrite those scripts. And that's something that I had to do because a lot of my subconscious thought patterns were negative. So I was in these negative patterns, and then I expected things to change, but I was complaining that they weren't, and I was angry that they weren't. So checking out Dr. Joe Dispenza's work, getting into meditation can really, really help uproot some of these things that we're subconsciously doing without even knowing it. And then rewriting that script and rewriting those thought patterns to be something positive. And then my whole life has changed because of it. And so now I'm, preaching it as much as I can with love and respect and patience and grace for everybody who's not there yet. But it's fun to be on the front lines of positivity and consciousness, instead of negativity and anger and violence, which is something that we were on the front lines of course, like a decade ago. So it's nice to have that transition.
Yeah. And you say it in the song, like I said, I'm kind of going back to the single because I really do feel like it's a great representation for everything that you're talking about, because you say it directly in the song that you did come from a place of war. You came from that place, and now you're trying to find that peace, and you're trying to expand peace to other people that need it.
Definitely.
The writing process for this song must have been pretty intense, because it had to be very self-reflective, because it really did come out, even if you were going for something else. It came out as very self-reflective.
Yeah. It was I was looking at all the things that I didn't like about myself and then trying to get to the root of that. And so much of it was the military industrial complex and the way that they create this really effective fighting machine with no emotional response and no ability to truly live abundantly, in my opinion. And how I had to learn how to unravel all of that. And now I'm pursuing a place of consciousness and love and forgiveness and community. And that's not a weakness, that's actually a strength. And just inviting people to be a part of that, and inviting people that is a healthier way to live, and it's a more courageous way to live, I think. And I think if we can look at it from the perspective of, it takes some serious guts and courage to move into that place of authenticity. It allows men who used to think that that's weakness to actually look at it as a form of strength and to fight for that. Again, I think a lot of us warriors, we have a warrior archetype, and all of us need a battle. And so my battle is now fighting for authenticity, fighting for vulnerability, and giving men permission to fight for something that's not necessarily violence or anger, or what's the word I'm looking for? Duality.
Yeah. Going into that stereotypical head of household type mentality where you're fighting and putting food on the table every day and that type of thing, where you never self-reflect. You never go through the hard stuff to think about what's going on in your own brain. Because again, that's the hard work.
Right.
I don't like doing it. I'm going to be completely honest with you. My wife tells me all the time. She's like, sometimes your emotions overflow and you tell me everything. And then other times you are an emotional brick wall. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I can't defend myself. I know, I know you're right, but that's the hard work. That really is.
Yeah. Well, it's awesome that you even have that self-realization. Some people won't even receive that. So
no, it's something you have to work on. It really is. Now, when you were doing the music video for the song, it's edgy. It has there's a grit to the style that you used, the jump cuts, the historic footage. It's a Apocalypse Now hue with the red and stuff like that. Cool. Very cool. Yeah. Good choices. I liked a lot of the choices that you went with.
Thank you.
What was that process like? I mean, did you enjoy that? Was that something kind of new? Because again, when you look at your other music video for, the other song, Listening, that's your quintessential, camera on you, pretty much single view, love song type video. Right, this is not that at all. Which did you enjoy kind of more?
Oh, great question. Well, I was with a beautiful woman when we were recording Listening, so that's always fun. Yeah. But as far as this was a really risky, vulnerable, expensive time, energy, and finance thing for me to do. But I was like, dude, what else? Like, stop. I used to be really good at making excuses for something to not work. And I used to say, well, this could happen. Well, this is that expensive. Well, how am I going to get 12 people that want to support this project? Well, how can I get the permission to go shoot in the VA cemetery? And I just kept telling myself, bro, what else are you doing? You're going to sit around and think about what you could have done and then make excuses for not doing it, or just go get it done. And so it was a long and lengthy process of writing out the script. And we would come up with this scene, like me breaking out of the cube was something sounded really cool. And then the idea behind how much time and energy and effort that was going to take was like, oh, I don't know if it's worth it. But I had a really cool group that believed in the song a lot. And I had a really cool group that believed in the message and the aesthetic, that they kept pushing me to continue to do this. So it was all self-funded. And I got everyone in that group of veterans in that community on the outside. They were all actual veterans. So
very cool.
That was something that was really important to me too, to kind of like put my money where my mouth is and build a community of veterans who wanted to support this and wanted to support art and vulnerability and authenticity. And so we shot it in only 2 days. We did a night scene, or an indoor shoot, which was the fight scene with me and myself, and then the breaking out of the military industrial complex, and then the outdoor shoot. So it went really well. And I was nervous the whole time, and I was over my head, and I didn't know exactly what I was doing. But I had a great group of people that were there to support, and they made it fun. And it turned out to be a product that I'm really, really, really proud of. I remember looking at the first cut of the video, and I was in an airport. I was traveling somewhere, and I looked at it. I was like, damn, Brandon, like, you are an actual artist. That was like a kind of check mark in my heart and in my mind, where I'm like, dude, you're doing the artist thing, and you should be proud of this. So it took a while to get there, but I'm here now, and I'm very grateful for it.
That's like I said, I'm very pleased. Like I said, I've watched it a few times now, and I get a little bit more out of it each time that I've watched it, because I'm kind of zoning in a little bit now, more on the artistic side of it, not just the song side of it. Where did you shoot it? Was it in Nashville, or did you?
Yeah, so the indoor shoot was at a place called Creative Vets, which is an awesome organization. I'd love to plug. Them. Them. Awesome. So they're good friends of mine, and I told them about this project, and they said, well, we got a warehouse if you want to shoot the indoor stuff there. So they let us shoot until like midnight on one night. They were super generous about their time. And then the next day we went over to the veteran cemetery. It's a little bit southwest of the city, and we shot some of the scenes there, the outdoor scenes, and then the stuff that, like, where I'm jumping off the cliff, that was at Percy Warner Lake. So it was just like, it was a hodgepodge of figuring all this out. I had two directors and the production team, and then everybody else was just volunteering. I made sure there were beers in the cooler for them, and we made it a community event, and everybody showed up, and I think it turned out really well.
Yeah. Now, you talk about a small production, so that's small production, right? And you're running the show and everything like that. But you have some history of larger production with, the Bachelor show that you were on. So you were on, it was a special type of Bachelor. It wasn't the Bachelor itself. It was the Bachelor. They called it Listen to Your Heart.
Yes.
You were on the first season of that.
Yes.
Now, it's a huge production. I mean, that's ABC, correct?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
It is.
So, what was that like, man?
Yeah. Wow. That was crazy, bro. I'm very grateful I went through that experience. It was incredibly challenging. There was a lot of manipulation, but I think I'm learning now that the mainstream media can be very, very powerful. It can also be a little misleading. And so, yeah, I got recruited off of Instagram, and they fed my ego in the perfect way. They're like, "Hey, you're a good-looking musician." I was like, "Well, thanks. Yes, I am." And they're like, "You're single and you have great talent." I was like, "Well, thank you so much for seeing me." They're like, "We'd love to have you on the show. We want you to meet other female musicians. We want you to go on dates. We want you to write songs with them. We want you to perform." And I was like, "That sounds like a perfect day for me." I'm like, "Let's go." So I went to, there was a audition here in Nashville. The woman who was auditioning said she really, really liked me. They flew me out to LA. There was another audition out there. And then I got the call about 6 weeks before we started shooting. This was last year. This was right before COVID hit. And I think I was the last person selected. So we show up, and they don't really tell us what's going on. They kind of keep us in the dark. Showed up at the house. I'm in a room full of like gorgeous human beings, males and females. I was like, okay. And then there's cameras everywhere. I'm like, all right, well, here we go. I knew what I signed up for. And so what they were connecting us, they were trying to connect us to individuals. And at the same time, they were a little bit misleading. They were kind of like causing a little drama. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, the drama really sells.
It does. It does. The average person watching The Bachelor or any of these shows, even I'm a huge Survivor fan. Okay. I love this. I love Survivor. I wish I could be on Survivor. I will one day apply for Survivor when the time is right. But one thing that I love about Survivor is the drama. It's not just the challenges and stuff. I want to see the guy, backstabbing his friend and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, we're kind of addicted to the drama. It's true.
Yeah. It's interesting to me as a human, because I try very hard to stay away from media, but when I do wind up, I don't know, if I'm at a friend's house and there's a show, it's so easy for me to get sucked in, and I'm just impressed with how well they do that.
Yes.
So that's what they did with us, and they asked me to keep a really open mind, and there happened to be a lot of girls that were interested in me, and I think it's more because of my confidence and my background than anything else. And so they was like, just say yes to everything. I was like, all right, cool. I didn't come to the show for, to sit around. So I said yes to everything. And a lot of these, a few girls started getting interested in me. And I was like, all right, well, this is going well. This is a dating show. I think this is okay. I didn't know they were going to kind of use it against me, use it as fuel to light a fire of chaos.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah. Say yes to everything. And then we're going to tell the girls that you said yes to everything. Well, wait a minute. Hold on. You didn't tell me you were going to do that.
Right. Exactly. And, it is what it is. I'm so glad I did it. And,
Cool.
It was just like I'm constantly getting these little pats on the back from the universe. That's like, hey, bro, you're obviously moving forward in the right direction. I was one of 12 guys out of thousands that were selected for this show. I'm super grateful for that.
Of course.
I now know 20 people from that show that are phenomenal human beings, phenomenal musicians that I'm supporting and hanging out with still, and in communication with and sharing life with. So that was a win. And it got me some publicity that I think was not necessarily, they say any publicity is good publicity. It was a rough go around. But it definitely gave me a lot of authority to know how the media works, to know how to optimize it. And it really, more than anything else, it gave me compassion and empathy for people who have no idea what they're talking about. And I can be one of those people from time to time, but I got so much hate from so many people that had no idea what they were talking about. And it gave me a lot of compassion to be like, oh man, okay, this is how humanity works. This is how humanity operates. I can learn how to rise above this and forgive them and not take it personally. But that was a beautiful life lesson. I wish I would have learned it a little easier.
It has to be tough because first of all,
Sometimes you got to go through it. Yeah,
the internet is brutal. Okay. The
it is.
internet is, what do they say? The internet is savage. It is
It
just,
is.
you could have Mother Teresa saving a child from the Nile River, and the internet would find a way to destroy that instantly. Let's be honest.
100%. Yes. Yes.
So to go through something that is a drama-based type show where that they're going to try to inject some drama, that you need to have those relationships and stuff, the internet's going to tear it apart.
Yeah.
That can't be easy, especially for a guy like you. You're coming out, you're a Marine, you're a songwriter, all these different things, and now you're dealing with like this kind of petty bullshit type stuff. And it's like, wait
100%.
a minute, hold on. It would be very easy for you to lash out is kind of my point. And
Sure.
if you didn't, that's great that you didn't. And if you did learn that life lesson, that's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you, man. Thank you. There was a few nights I couldn't sleep because I was like, damn, this is heavy. But like, exactly like you said, you take 1% of anybody's life, you can make them look like Jesus, you can make them look like the devil. Yep. And I just gotta, I got the edit that they wanted to edit me as, and I take it. And I took responsibility. And I think there's the beautiful thing that I learned too is like, if you take responsibility for everything in your life, you have no one else to blame. And so you can't hold on to that bitterness and that judgment and the resentment. And so that was a cool victory. So even through the manipulation and being misled by people that I thought I could trust, I learned how to take responsibility for my part, which was all of it, and forgive them and not give them any power. And I think a lot of times we blame and point the other finger and we decide to make it everybody else's fault. But the moment we can take responsibility, we can forgive ourselves, first of all, and move forward. And then we can forgive those other people and they lose all the power. Mm-hmm. But there's that quote that bitterness is like taking a poison and expecting the other person to die. And so it was a life lesson for me. Very real life lesson. Being on national TV, looking like an asshole was rough.
I can only imagine that's got to be rough.
Yeah.
But you talk about moving forward and taking all of this stuff that we've kind of talked about, and you're packaging it all together, and it's becoming these building blocks of what you're trying to do and where you're trying to go. I want to focus on two different things. Where are you going with the music career? What's the next step that you're kind of looking at? Can we see a full album coming out focused around, Don't Mistake? Where are we going with all that?
Yeah, beautiful question. Thank you. So I'm actually dropping a single on April 30th.
Oh, awesome.
Called My Hero. Yeah, and I'll shoot that to you when it's finished. We're getting it mastered right now. And then I'm going to be releasing singles for the next few months. Not unfortunately, but that's just kind of how the industry is working right now.
Yeah.
With the algorithms, with YouTube and Spotify, they really want you to be consistent more than they used to be an album a year. You could go tour for a year and a half off a single album if it was good. Now it's kind of like we're dropping singles every few months or every few weeks even. So I'll be doing that for the foreseeable future. And then I'm heading down to Dallas to record with one of my favorite producers in the world, either August, September. And I'm looking to make that a full-length album. That's going to be a little more folky, a little more conscious-driven music, but a lot of stuff in the works. And the best way to just stay in touch is just jump on my socials or jump on my website. I don't even know if people go to websites anymore, but socials for sure. And I'll just keep everybody updated about singles coming out. But we've got some songs that I'm incredibly proud of. That's for the first time in my life, I can say feels 100% authentic Brandon Mills and really well done, professional, and something I'm really proud of that has a really positive message for people out there.
That's great. And we'll be looking forward to that new single coming out at the end of the month. Definitely.
Thank you. Thank you.
And then the other part would be the psychedelics, the nonprofit, the helping veterans.
Yes.
What do you have on the horizon as far as that is concerned? Now, I know the music ties into that. I'm not trying to separate them completely.
No, absolutely. It's all good.
Sometimes you have to see what's exactly going on.
Yeah, 100%. Well, thank you. So I work with this group called Heroic Hearts.
Okay.
I'm really good friends with one of the main people there. And what we do is we set up veteran retreats for people who are looking to get into the plant medicine. right now they strictly have to be a veteran. But if they want to contact me again through socials, that's probably the best way, and I can get them plugged in. I've been fortunate enough for this year, about every 2 months, I'm going to sit in some type of ceremony and work with the medicine. And it's not all the same; some of it's different.
Okay.
But I'm really trying to learn. I think the medicine comes. The fullest authority of the medicine comes through building trust, and you can only really do that with spending time with it. So that is my goal for the next foreseeable future. But if anyone's interested, if anyone's hearing this who's a veteran that wants to know more about this information, there's plenty of resources. I'm also on this board of influencers for it's called Unlimited Sciences.
Okay.
And they're helping fund research, psilocybin research with Johns Hopkins. So they're trying to legitimize how powerful psychedelics can be through a legitimate research agency, so as substantial as Johns Hopkins.
Of course.
And so mixing all of those together and just going out there and exploring and saying yes to opportunities. And a lot of times I share my music during these plant ceremonies. So after the shaman gets done with his spiel, I'll usually put on a real small show and bless people with that music. So it is all integrated together. I do a lot of house shows, and I'll be doing a house show tour in the fall. We're setting that up for like October, November. So if you're interested in having me come perform in your backyard, 30 to 50 people, really beautiful, intimate event. I'll be storytelling. I'll be sharing my music, my heart. We'll have some drinks. It'll be a fun, like kind of grassroots kind of way of experiencing the music and my story, and building relationship. That's what it's all about, right? Building human connection. So
that's an awesome kind of concept. The intimate, I think that's becoming, and I think after COVID is going to be extremely popular because people are nervous about going back into large venues or small venues that are packed in.
Right.
So I think that is a great way to get out in front of that, is to line yourself up for small, especially backyard little events that you can control and really have an intimate experience with the people and kind of grow your reputation and, really, like you said, a grassroots way of getting your music out there.
It's a lot of fun, and it feels really authentic, and you don't have to go do sound check at 2 p.m. with some angry people that, were up with drunk people the night before. So it just feels more real and feels more my vibe, and getting a lot of good responses to it. And people want community. We're desperate for it. It's a requirement for humanity, and people who have the resources and have the space to hold a nice little community event, are really responsive to it. So yeah, if anyone's interested, let me know. I'll be planning on doing a full national tour in the fall.
Very cool. Yeah. But how do people get in touch with you? So you said social media. What is the social media handles?
Yeah, I believe everything is at Brandon Mills Music, BRANDON MILLS Music.
Okay.
That'd be the best way to do it. You can hit me up on my website, but I think I'm most active on Instagram.
Okay. I think everybody is.
The best way. I think so too.
I say it all the time. Like, I have the Facebook page, I have Twitter, I have, Clubhouse and all these other things, but it's everything I do ends up on Instagram. It's just the easiest interface. So especially for voice or video or anything like that. So, and there's great memes, let's be honest. And really, we're all out there just to be the next great meme. Let's be honest.
I love a good meme, man. Yeah. I love a good meme. Tank Sinatra, he's gotten me laughing every single day. So
every day. Yeah, there's some good ones out there, man. The military is no slouch when it comes to the meme world. They're pretty good. I do enjoy it. 100%. Hey, Brandon, man, I've really enjoyed this. This has been awesome.
Thank you, brother. Same.
We're going to play out with the new song and video. It's going to be on the video for anybody that is listening to just the audio of the interview. Please head over to the YouTube page, check out the video of this interview, and you can actually see the video. We'll attach it to the interview. I think everybody needs to check this out. You're going to love the song. Again, it's got some grit to it. It's authentic, and that's what I love about it. I think it's relatable because it has that authentic feel. It's your story, and that's awesome. So we're going to play out with that, but thank you so much for being on the show. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you, brother. I'm honored to be here, brother. Appreciate you.
Yeah. And I look forward to talking to you in the future.
100%. We'll do it again.
All right, bud. You have a great day.
You too. Thanks.
Don't mistake my kindness for weakness. I choose love, but you will never beat this. Don't mistake my kindness for weakness. Just because I speak peace, you'll never defeat this. No. I've been through 2 foreign wars, seen innocent bloodshed on the pavement, still don't know what for. It seems like we can corrupt a whole country. We got to give access to the people who have less. Strong arms, weak souls, shallow men always fighting for control. Governments pretend to represent, it's farther from the truth with every lie that they present. Don't mistake my kindness for weakness. I choose love, but you will never beat this. Don't mistake my kindness for weakness. Just because I speak peace, you'll never defeat this. Letting go, no longer keep it score. Learning how to serve love from the deepest of my core. Warriors uniting around the world, and demons flee when I and we walk along in harmony. Strong hearts, bold souls, humble teachers lead louder than the ghosts. Noble men connect to represent, fall divided, stand united, evolve when we respect.
Maybe it's you us or us, or maybe it's us versus them, or maybe it's me versus myself, a battle like faith from within. Screaming out, God bless myself, and God bless America. God bless my soul, and God bless America. Hi, this right here is my declaration. Reparations and separations, it took some time for that preparation. It ain't here, oh God bless my soul. As I pledge allegiance to my own allegiance, no man down, only stand down, better stand for me, cause I'm a man now, let's go.
Don't mistake my kindness for weakness. I choose love, but you will never beat this. Don't mistake my kindness for weakness. Just because I speak peace, you'll never defeat this. Don't mistake my kindness for weakness. I choose love, but you will never beat this. Don't mistake my kindness for weakness. Just because I speak peace, you'll never defeat this. Don't mistake my kindness for weakness. I choose love, but you will never beat this. Don't mistake my kindness for weakness. Just because I speak peace, you'll never defeat this. No.